Hey, Black woman, hey. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Hopefully, you can. I am live streaming from my iPad. My laptop is occupied. I'm writing a script for my new podcast episode that I'll be recording on Wednesday, which is titled Hotep Queens. We're getting into Hotepness and what it means to be a Hotep Queen, and if you qualify Black women to be a Hotep Queen. So I'm not sure if you can hear me. I want to say you can, but I don't know because this is my first time streaming from my iPad. Let me see if I can pull a trick. Let me see if I can pull a good trick. So, um, yeah, I can hear in our playback. So it's recording. That's great. So this podcast episode, not podcast episode, but this episode of Black Woman Vibes will be, or shall I say, this live stream of Black Woman Vibes will be about Build a Bear Bums. And I want to talk about this because while I was getting ready to go to the gym, because I'm trying to get that summer off flat, and I got some things I'm trying to do in the summer, and I can, but I prefer not to, at the current status of my body. I'm not obese or anything like that, but everything can be tighter and toner, and that's the goal. So, um, Build a Bear Bums or Build a Bums. I was just thinking about how a lot of men are accustomed to being underneath the breast of a woman, and they feel as if that their it's their birthright that they should have a woman who puts up with them in their lackluster years. Like, don't get it twisted. I tell my friends, look, your 20s is for you to get it together. Whatever getting it together means. You have like a whole decade for you to figure out what that means. Whether it's getting an education, whether it's getting the job that you want, whether it's even starting your own business like me. Whatever you want to do in life, your 20s is that time. A lot of times people, they trick off their 20s. A lot of times people use their 20s to get into some real stupid things. They party, they drink, they have babies that they don't need or desire or want. And they just do foolishness with their 20s, and by the time they hit like their late 20s, that's when they're like, oh, let me play catch up and get it together. Or by the time they hit their late 20s, like, dag, I really am kind of stuck. Like, I really didn't have anything going for me. I didn't really pursue anything. Now I'm trying to reclaim my 20s and my 30s, which is a little bit more difficult because at your 30s, it's kind of like you are firm in what you're doing. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't change courses. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't change careers or start your own business. But in your 30s, you probably are aiming to get married if you're not already married. You're probably going to have a child if you don't already have a child. Like, your 30s is where you officially, quote unquote, air quotes, though you can't see it, air quotes, become an adult. And in your 20s, you're still in that weird stage in your life where you're not a kid, but you're not really great at adulting, and you're trying to figure out what that means and how it looks like for you. And that's when you gain friends, you lose friends, you come into who you are, you test boundaries, you try out new things. Like, that's what your 20s is made for. But a lot of people, they don't take their 20s seriously, and they end up tricking off time, like I said, which is that's your right. If you want to trick off some time, you could trick off some time. But what's not right is you tricking off some time and then expecting other people to pick up your baggage. Now, what I mean by picking up your baggage, that means that you got a kid, you really got no education, you don't really got no job, you out here like Tommy with no job, and then you expect because you in some type of relationship with a woman, and I'm not even talking about intimate, it could even be not father, but son and mother relationship, you expect that woman to somehow sacrifice for you and somehow give and dedicate and take her emotional labor and her financial benefits to support you. And that's not how it goes. And I see this especially with black men. That's not how life goes. As a man, you need to be able to stand on all 10 toes by yourself because you made life what you wanted it to be. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't get help, but there's a difference between getting help and there's a difference between I'm being coddled. I'm being thrown on someone else's shoulders and being shifted into adulthood. That's not help. That's not help. That type of help is the help why Aunt Becky from Full House is under federal investigation. That's not help. In that case, it's cheating, but in this case, that's not help. You got to be able to make those moves. You need to be able to plan your life. You need to be able to make those steps to get to where you need to get to. And oftentimes, these men don't do it. And they put that responsibility on other women. They put the responsibility of other women to build them up. And it's quite funny because a lot of times they don't get the opportunities for other people to build them up. Most black women don't have no rich uncle who's gonna put a couple millions or thousands in their bank account and be like, you know what, I'm going to help you. You know what, I'm gonna put something extra in your business plan. I'm going to put a little something, a little cushion for you to, finesse it, for you to invest it. No, a lot of times black women have to grind, they have to sacrifice, they have to plan, they got to pick out 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And a lot of these men don't have it. And you could say it's socialization and it's the effemination of the black man and all that. Whatever. But what I am saying is that black women are a double minority. We are black, we are women. As Sojourner Truth said, ain't I a woman? In her eloquent speech, she asked, ain't I a woman? Black women are often used as the muse of society. Black women are often casted away. Black women are also often put into the sacrifice choke position. And still, we rise. Still we rise. I still rise. We still rise. And the fact that you're in a patriarchy, you are men, and you don't feel that desire to get it for yourself, that you always need a help, out here looking like Tyrese and Baby Boy, not only does that make you look incompetent, but it also shows that you are not deserving of what you're aiming for. You're aiming for manhood. You're aiming for respect. You're aiming for a patriarchy, but you're not willing to do the grunt work of building that. Because for example, though I am a woman, I can't walk into certain spaces and be like, okay, give me the crown, the beauty crown. Give me a lavish lifestyle. Give me certain privileges over other people because I'm a woman. It doesn't work that way, especially as black women, because we're going to go into colorism, featureism, texturism, and all that jazz. But to keep it brief, you got to work for yours. There's a few minority people who were lucky enough to hit the genetic lottery, lucky enough to hit the lottery, lucky enough to have parents who are able to hold on. There's a rare few people who are able to have people who back them up, who are their financiers, who basically have a golden spoon in their mouth. Most people do not have that experience. Most people gotta grind for theirs. Blood, sweat, and tears. They have to grind for theirs. And if you Do not feel the instincts as a person, regardless of sex, regardless if you're a woman or a man. If you don't have that instinct in you to be like, I gotta get it for me, I gotta establish me for me. Okay, no one's gonna give me a handout. No one's going to be like, all is fair and I'm gonna give you a fair chance. Like, you have to bust through these doors. You have to grab these opportunities. If you don't have that within you, then honestly, sincerely, you just gotta take that L in life and just be okay with being lukewarm, mediocre, almost. You just gotta be okay with that. And that's not anybody else's fault. And it's not fair for you to expect that's somebody else's priority, that's somebody else's job to put you on their back and then carry you on to the position that you need to do in life. And I say this for Black women, do not play into that. Do not play into that ride or die trope. Do not play into that builder bum trope, because honestly, that is not the hill you want to die on. You will resent it. You will resent him. You will resent yourself. And then you'll end up sounding like a broken record. You will end up sounding like a bitter person. And then you know how it is with Black women. We speak our minds, and we might not say it with sprinkles of sugar and encouragement. When we speak our mind, we are called all types of bitter. You're just bitter. You're just mad. It's typical Black woman behavior. So when we say what we want to say, and we may not say it with sugar and spice and everything nice, we say it with full determination, we get the backlash. And if you have not seen how this plays out for Black women, please reference Jill Scott. Please reference Mary J. Blige. Please reference Raquel Robinson. Please reference these Black women who said, you know what? I'm going to play that build a bear position. I'm going to indulge in struggle love. I'm going to hold him down. You know, Black love can proceed and continue on and, you know, jump through bounds and sparkle and glitter and change the universe, move mountains and all that. And you know what these women have in common? They are getting a divorce. Hey. And not only are they getting a divorce, the men who weren't even qualified, everybody has to be qualified for something, especially if you want to succeed in life. You got to be qualified for something. They weren't qualified to be in a relationship with these women, and now that these relationships are ending, they're trying to get their cut. They are trying to get their cut in the relationship. And if you live in certain states where basically everything is 50-50, and you're the breadwinner and you're the woman, and you got a builder bear bum who is comfortable living off you, you're screwed. And you see this with Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams can't leave her husband. Not that she can't physically walk out the door. It's because she doesn't have a prenup. And she never foreseen that this was a possibility. And I talked about this on my podcast episode, Black Woman Vibes, episode 2, I believe. And it was titled Marriage. You have to be able to think clearly, especially when it comes to your finances, because you never know where you're going to be in 10 years. In 10 years, you might be like Oprah status. And then your relationship might fizzle, because it happens. Divorce in the United States, 50% of people are getting a divorce. It ends in divorce, unfortunately. So you can't be out here talking about, well, all is love, we'll persevere, we'll never break up, we'll never grow apart. People grow apart all the time. Think about all the friends you've had throughout your years. I'm talking about from kindergarten to now. Are you friends with all them folks? No. What happens? We grow up, we have different interests, we outgrow each other, we lose each other's numbers, we move away. Life happens. And it also happens within a relationship. Most people, they do not marry their first boyfriend or girlfriend. They don't marry the first person they lose their virginity to. Like, we just grow as people. It's just life. But because she didn't think strategically, she didn't think long term and see where she was going to be at, as well as, I think she always knew she wanted to be major. I don't know if she thought that she could actually reach that status, but she didn't think that he was able to do her dirty like that. She seems like the type of woman who's like, look, I'm okay with you having a mistress. I just don't want to see that in my face. I don't want to see it. I don't want to have any suspicions of it, and I definitely don't need you to embarrass me in the media. She's one of them women. And those type of women always end up getting screwed at the end. Why? Because they didn't see long term. They didn't think that this dude who is grimy to everybody else, but he just wouldn't be grimy to me. And people said her husband has a reputation of being grimy. Her husband has a reputation of doing insidious things behind the scenes, even trying to get one of Wendy Williams' competitors on the radio gunned down. He was plotting a murder. He has alleged sexual misconduct and all that stuff. So you think your husband can be grimy to everybody else, but he just wouldn't be grimy to you? And again, I think she's one of them women who are like, you know what? I don't care if you cheat. Just don't humiliate me out in public. Just don't let me know about it. And now not only do the public know, as of yesterday, the mistress baby was born. And I'm pretty sure Wendy Williams, directly or indirectly, is paying for that hospital birth fee. So I say this all to say is that you need to look at your future, your finances, and who you laying up with. You need to take that all seriously, because you can be A1 day one, but you're messing with someone who's not. Because you never know if this person will be so comfortable in the situation and take advantage of it. Again, especially if you live in one of those states where it's 50-50. This person can be all up in your pocket because they've met the requirements of getting that 50-50 benefits, whether it's you got to be married for 10 years or any length of marriage, or the startup beginnings of a marriage and the person's success, you get 50-50. Whatever the case may be, it's a growing trend that men are getting spousal support. So they're no longer ashamed of not only not being able to provide, but being in their women's pockets. So you thinking you can be a builder bum for a dude, and then eventually he'll choose you, and eventually he'll get right and then spoil you with his riches. You gotta look at how it ended up for Kevin Hart's ex-wife, Torri Hart, the ex-wife who had his first set of kids. Torri Hart, she was with him when he was a struggling comedian. He didn't have nothing. He didn't even have a car. She was out here helping him, nourishing him, building him up. Now he's the Kevin Hart we see today. But before, or the bubbling process of him becoming who he is today, he was cheating on Torri with his current wife, Onika. Then a couple of years later, he divorced Torri for Onika. Or whatever her name is. Onika, I believe. I'm not sure. But the new wife. And this is why you don't want to be the ride or die chick. You do not want to be the come up chick. You don't want to be that woman. Because in theory, it sounds like it should be a reciprocal process. It should be like on credit. I'm putting you on layaway. You can't afford me. But once you build enough money, in the sense of layaway, but in the sense of a relationship, once you build enough status, income, whatever the case may be, you'll ultimately repay me. Not in the sense of nickel and dime, but in the sense of like, okay, now you can pull your own weight in a relationship. But that tends not to be the case. What tends to be the case is that now that he has more options because he has this money, now he feels as if he can do better than you. And we see that oftentimes. Because a lot of times these men settle for the woman that they can get when they're broke, because these women allow anything, that these women are easily manipulated. These women have no real boundaries. They don't require much. So to them, it's like, oh, I can take the left, the right, the middle, the front, the back. I can take everything. You just gonna give it to me. And once they get to a certain position, they're like, okay, now I no longer need to play this role. I no longer need to, I no longer have to be with you. Like you were 10 when I was a 5, but now I'm like an 8. And now I can get 10s and better because my finances say I can get 10s and better. And that's when you really know what he's about. And what he's about is the next chick. Because he couldn't afford getting the chick that he really wanted, but he could unfortunately afford you. And now you're seeing that the relationship is no longer, well, it never was equal. But now when he's at his best, he still doesn't, he still is not going to pull in his share because he's taking his share to the next chick. And this is why I highly, highly suggest to Black women to not play into those games. Do not play into that role. It never works in your advantage. You always end up feeling bitter. You always end up feeling rejected. You always end up feeling hurt because you sincerely wanted it to work out and pan out in the way that it would be. And all the good talking and all the reinsurances and all that. You see, I'm making moves. You see, it's going to get better. Just for him to be like, yeah, I got better, but there's no more we because I want her. And this is why, as in a patriarchy, because we do live in a patriarchy, men have to stand on their own 10 toes. In this patriarchy, you are a man. You may be a different race, but you are a man. This is patriarchy. Figure it out. You have at least one bias working for you. As a Black woman, we have no bias working for us. We are Black and we are a woman. They are in sync. We cannot separate one from the other. We have nothing working in our benefit. If anything, every stereotype out there that represents Black women is horrible. Whether it's the Jezebel stereotype, whether it's the super woman complex, whether it's the social justice warrior archetype, all of these things work against our best interests. There's not many stereotypes that work in the advantage of Black women. Maybe the fact that we cook good, maybe the fact that we age better, but those are things that aren't really going to push us through the door, aren't really going to elevate us to the next status. Not so much. So this is a patriarchy. You need to figure it out as a man so you can stand on your own 10 toes. Because honestly, if Black women through all our obstacles are one of the growing population of entrepreneurs, that says a lot. Now, we may not be Fortune 500 companies, but at least we can pay our bills. At least we may be able to employ 1 or 2 people. At least we're making strides where it matters and where it counts. And this is why I absolutely adore this generation of Black girls and Black women, is the fact that we are thinking outside the box. Like, we're seeing how the system is set up. We're seeing that it's not necessarily to our advantage. So we're doing what we need to do to get paid and for us to live an equally great life and have a great quality of life. From the influencers to the natural hair girls who are like, okay, you want me to do a review? I'll do a review, but you got to pay me. To the Black women who are getting paid to just speak their truth or whatever the case may be. I'm just here for Black women and girls just glowing up in the world. The little girl who started her own lemonade company, and now her lemonades are in Whole Foods, and white folks love their Whole Foods. So we making strides. And it kind of plays into the stereotype of Black women always persevering, always being the mule, always having the strongest back, the backbone of the community. And I hate that stereotype. I honestly hate that stereotype because it makes Black women weaker and permanently damaged. However, even though I don't like the stereotype, when it is to the benefit of said Black woman, I'm here for it. Black women muling for Black spaces, Black people as a whole, I'm not here for that. That is very toxic. That's very draining. And it does cut out years from your life. But Black women asserting themselves, Black women speaking their truth, Black women glowing up, and Black women starting businesses, and Black women creating spaces so Black women can flourish. I'm here for it. I'm all the way here for it. But Black women trying to take down the system and all that other jazz, I'm not here for it at all, because it does not work in the interest of Black women. I mean, kind of recently we've been accepting of natural hair, and it's not correlated with an Afro and a big afro with the pick and a black power fist and RBG and taking down the system. Like, it's not associated with that. Just recently we got over the hump, the stereotype of a black woman with natural hair, and just seeing that as beautiful and non-militant. Before, the afro was associated with being militant, as well as being ugly and weird and totally different and opposing to white beauty. But now natural hair has been normalized. We're seeing it in commercials. You got Suave and Dove making natural hair products. You got even perm companies like Black Beauty or Black is Beautiful or whatever that perm company is. They're making natural hair products. So now we just associated natural hair, which is being natural hair, and not these negative stereotypes. So Black women are still making strides in ways. We're still seeing, we're starting to see Black women promotion, darker skinned women promotion. We're talking about the differences of how lighter skinned women are treated and darker skinned women are treated. So we're starting to see some change. However, Black women cannot concern themselves with the whole. And I say this with no contempt. I know there's Black women out here who are pick-me's. I know there are Black women out here who are hope-tip queens. I know there are Black women who just vehemently against anything that's progressive solely for Black women. I know Black women who look at their womanhood as a footnote. It's just an extra. It's just a line, a fine print line somewhere in the back. And those women will not be saved. Those women will not listen. Those women will not work for their best interest. And that's perfectly fine. However, I'm not going to forfeit my blessings, and I'm not going to advise other Black women to follow into that motto, because if you've read any writings from Black women of the past, which is very eerily similar to what's going on with Black women today, you see how that ultimately leaves Black women. Black women who are chasing the Black male gaze. Black women who are being social justice warriors. Black women who are the mules of the community. If you read, and yes, those who might hear this live stream later, like, oh, that's feminism and you can't. All right, whatever. But if you read writings of Black women of yesteryear, they will tell you how it will end up for you. It's not going to push you forward. It's not going to help you one iota. It is best for Black women to think for Black women, because no one will understand your plight as a Black woman than other Black women who are like-minded, who you have to vet, because every Black woman is not your sister. Period. Every Black woman is not your sister. And though white women can understand you from a sex-based issue, because they're women, you're women, you can understand, but they equate being a woman to white, and they don't care for Black women issues. Sojourner Truth can tell you about that. Ida B. Wells can tell you about that. Harriet Tubman can tell you about that. Mary Church Terrell can tell you about that. Multiple Black women of yesteryear can tell you about that. White women don't care about Black women issues. But on the flip side, Black men don't care about women issues either. They don't care about Black women issues. They will ask you, are you Black or are you woman? As if I could literally pull the Blackness from my skin and put it to the left, and pull my woman and throw it to the right, and then choose. I don't get to choose. I'm equally both. When you see me Black, you see me a woman. And I don't even have a petite frame. You definitely can tell that I'm a woman. I don't even have a petite frame. I'm very curvy. So you're not going to miss that. And I'm non-racially ambiguous. I'm very Black, from my head to my nose to my lips. I'm very Black. You are not going to mistake me for anything other than Black. So I can't separate those two. Those are my realities, a Black woman. So these men are equally as sexist, equally as chauvinistic, equally as misogynoir. So again, no one's going to understand your plight but another Black woman. However, you have to vet these Black women, because they're not for your best interest. If you're not a pick-me, how are you going to get a pick-me to understand your specific issues as a Black woman when she's telling you, well, what you need to do is be able to cook a 4-course meal every day of the night, and you better be able to cook that from scratch, and you gotta run your man's bath water, and you gotta give him a massage, and you gotta lay the coochie on him. And if you are on your period and you can't lay the coochie on him, then you better have a friend that you'll be okay with him smashing, because you at this time can't be smashing, because that's nasty. And you better be able to give him half of your paycheck, because honestly, he's the head of household. This is white supremacy, and you need to be able to uplift your man the best way that you can. And you gotta birth for the cause, because you never know, the revolution might be around the corner, so you gotta push out them babies. And all these ridiculous requirements, like, she black and she a pick me, and you black, but you not a pick me, so she's not gonna work in your best interest. Then you have the Hotep queens. Hotep this, Hotep that, RBG, natural hair, power to the people. But then they want to talk about, well, before we talk about R. Kelly, first we got to talk about Woody Allen. As if we can't acknowledge Woody Allen is just as perverted as R. Kelly. It's an either or situation. And what that really is about is deflection. We don't want to talk about R. Kelly. We want to talk about a non-black person. As if both of them don't need to be in jail. So these little women who are okay with their daughter being raped and being pissed on and being in a sex tape, because they don't care. Their whole mission in life is to preserve the image of black men, which honestly, black men have done a lot to their image. There's not much saving, especially a group of even more oppressed people can do for the image of black men. But nonetheless, these women won't be able to relate to you. And that's why you need to go with like-minded black women who understand what it is and understand that they need to carve a specific area in life for other like-minded women to breathe, to grow, to level up, to love, to nurture, to water, to support. Because I'm black, you black ain't enough. I'm woman, you woman ain't enough. I'm going to read 2 feeds I got on Twitter, which I thought was very, very interesting. And I saved it specifically for this live stream. I know it was late, but like I said, I was working on the script. So I'm going to read it. I'm definitely going to read it. This is what on Twitter, a woman, I believe, I'm not sure, I believe it's a woman, the big old book at Oloni. Hey ladies, have you ever poured out your heart to a guy in the past and thought, oh my God, I can't believe I sent this. I have to. Respond to this tweet by digging out past old heartfelt messages, a love interest. And then a woman replied, damn, this thread is brutal. Women really go through this shit from middle school all the way to adulthood and still find it in their hearts to love again. But let one N-word get a no on Valentine's Day in the 3rd grade. Exactly. Oh my God, is right, Lau. But let one N-word get a no on Valentine's Day in the 3rd grade and watch him destroy every girl he encounters afterwards. Which is very, very true. I have seen, especially on social media, love it or hate it, the best thing for me on social media is not only like the up and coming small boutiques and black creatives, but what's very interesting to me about social media, it takes away the mask. The shadow side of human nature comes out and you really see what people are really about. That nice guy in the office who's cheerful and encouraging. On Twitter, he has a different username, a username you really can't connect to who he is in the workplace. And he has some random image that you really can't associate to him, and now he's telling you how much he doesn't like women are the ruinage of the human race, how Adam was duped because Eve ate the fruit, and all this other jazz, right? People's real nature comes out on social media because there's no filter. Who's gonna check you? In the words of Sheree Whitfield, who gonna check me, boo? Who's gonna check you? unless you really out of pocket and you really upset people, you might get your Twitter account or your Facebook pulled down for a couple of or you blocked from accessing those social media accounts for maybe a day or a week. Twitter is very quick to hit you with that false claim policy or broken policy or whatever, and they will time you out until you delete your tweet that upsetted those who were upset. And Facebook will throw you in Facebook jail for maybe a day or 3 days until you do it enough time, they just delete your account. But most times people say what they want that's very unfiltered, that's very raw, and sometimes very offensive. And that's just the nature of social media. And that's what I personally like, on top of, small Black creators getting exposure and getting paid, that all the filters of society, you gotta yes and no's, please and thank you, Mrs. and Mr. I see a colorblind society, women are just as equal to men. All of that goes out the window. All the social programming goes out the window because the true nature of a person comes out on social media. And what I've noticed on social media, and a lot of women, Black women in particular, have made this case, is that the things that you thought that were some Black men think like this, not all Black men, Black love, melanin magic, Black women and Black men, we in it together, we woke, we pro-Black, we this, we that. You see colorism jump out, you see featureism jump out, you see anti-Blackness jump out, misogynoir jumps out, anti-Black woman rampant jumps out. You see the true nature of these Black men who say, well, my cousin got shot down, but I still want you to march for me. AKA Stephon Clark. The baby mama had the nerve to say, I don't understand why there's not so much organization and why people aren't trying to preserve the name of Stephon Clark, because she was trying to get a check from the police department. And Black women, for the most part, was like, oh, no. You can't spit on my name, talk about dark bees, bring dark days, then expect me to march for you, a dark bee, because you got gunned down by the police. That's not how it works. You don't get to defame me and defame my image while you're living, but now that you're dead, all of a sudden I'm supposed to be the mule that you think I am. So people had to put the baby mama in her place. And mind you, the baby mama is an Asian. I think she was Vietnamese, and she was participating in the dragging and the disrespect of Black women. So I was proud of Black women saying, no, I'm not about that. My kind is not about that. Handle your business. Handle that situation. We're opting out to stay out of this situation. But like I was saying, the true nature of people come out on social media. And the other post I want to read... Sheesh. I don't know if the thread was muted or whatever, but I can't, from the thread that talks about the long messages that you sent to an ex or whatever, I can't open the thread, which is, I don't know, I just can't open it. Oh, I gotta be a follower. Okay, let me follow to see if I can see it. Oh, she gotta actually approve of me. All right. Whatever. But the other one I'm gonna read, it is by Doreen GLM on Twitter, and I love her content. I love what she says because she's absolutely right when it comes to Black women in general, positioning themselves in this male entitled and male biased society. And she says, there is a misconception about women and romantic rejection, and the idea exists that since we are not typically the ones to approach, we are unfamiliar with rejection and thus terrible at accepting it. Well, this thread is proof that romantic rejection is very much a part of our world. Rejection occurs in many ways when it comes to a relationship. Outside of just receiving a no to a can I holla, it occurs when you put a lot of effort that isn't appreciated or is taken for granted. It occurs when you make yourself present for a person knowing that it may not be reciprocated. It is said that women are bad at receiving rejection, yet we all are aware of women who are still holding on to terrible relationships, toiling and doing the most when it is more than obvious that their partner have checked out. I spend a lot of time asking women to choose themselves because women have been taught to be too good at accepting rejection. We are taught to stay even while being maltreated, to pray harder, be more loving, and do more tricks to try to keep men even while being rejected. Despite the many ways the women in that thread list how much the men they were with hurt them, their messages are still a plea for men to finally love them. So you see, despite being rejected, these women are still ready to impart love and care, and we see this every day. Despite women being cheated on callously by their spouses, a major form of rejection in a relationship, women are typically the gender most likely to forgive their spouses and continue the relationship. In comparison, men, we already know, are raised entitled to the interest and attention of women, and so are more prone to be shocked at women not being interested, shocked enough to express it in violent ways, from physical attacks to revenge porn to labeling a woman as a whore for being interested in other men. There is no way you can deny that we don't prepare hetero women to be prepared for rejection. Most of us are legit experts at it. We hear from every avenue possible that men are more interested in our bodies than being with us. We are told from the jump that a man has to be ready first, the one to make the choice of whether or not a relationship that two people are involved in takes another step. Women are literally, as I type this, in relationship limbo, throwing hints and having tearful side conversations with their families daily on if their boyfriends will ever propose marriage to them, marinating in rejection of what they already ready for. So again, how can it ever be said that women can't take rejection when the average dating experience of women is to accept and marinate in rejection, to stay and work things out when rejected, to give second, third, fourth, and fifth chances despite being rejected. My hope for anyone reading this is to learn to identify rejection in a relationship, to not just keep parroting patriarchal logic that says women don't this and women don't that. When a person you are with treats you a certain way that makes you feel unsure and unwanted, it is a clear rejection. It is a no, I am not interested in what you are offering. There is no reason to cajole, work harder, or change everything about yourself to get a person to love you. Take the rejection on the chin and be out, hard as it may be. Marinating in rejection is bigger blow to your self-esteem because it repeats itself over and over and over again in different little and huge ways. I much rather move the fuck on early before I lose more of myself to a person not interested. That's the word of the day. And I know that was a whole short story there. But what she was saying is very true. Like the expectations and the entitlement that men have to women, whether it's our labor, whether it's our sex, whether it's our money, whatever the case is, that desire of I deserve it with no limitations, with no second guess, with no accountability, no nothing. I deserve it is the reason why a lot of women are jumping through hoops and trying to be loved, trying to be wanted, trying to fix a dead relationship, trying to build him up. And the thing about it is you could build him up for the next shit. Reference Torri Hart. But that doesn't mean that you building him up will be for you. And the thing about it is, you know how messed up that is? That's like you saving all your money. And I'm getting into makeup now. I'm really getting into makeup. So that's like me saving money. Good money, hard-earned money, big buck money. Because I like my makeup from Sephora. And I purchased this makeup just for the person behind me to receive the makeup and walk out the store. So I had to sacrifice, I had to save, I had to put away to buy this, whether it's eyeshadow palette, whether it's lipstick, and I love me some lipstick. That's my Achilles heel. And the chick behind me, she gets to take it out the store. And then I said, well, what about me? What about my makeup? She just left the store with the makeup. And the cashier is like, next, ignoring me. So you putting all this effort, this energy to build him up, for him to stand on his 10 toes, for you to prompt him, doesn't mean that you will recoup the benefits, and that doesn't mean that he ultimately wants you. Because there are men who are very just to the point and very blunt. They don't want you. They will not be your boyfriend. They're not that guy. They're not looking for a relationship. They could do a situationship. They could be a F buddy, but they're not looking to be in a intimate and monogamous relationship with you. And then there's other men who... Am I connected? I don't know if I'm connected. I don't know. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I don't know where I left off, but I'll just regurgitate a little bit what I've said. So, tell you he doesn't want you, but you can tell by his actions he don't want you. He calls you when it's convenient for him. He comes around when it's convenient for him. He only acknowledges you when it's convenient for him. He doesn't have to literally tell you he doesn't want you, but by his actions, it's clear he doesn't want you. If you want a monogamous, serious relationship, and he's telling you he got a whole rotation, and he's telling you that, you know, he got different flavors, and he got a chick for this and the chick for that, and, you know, he's cool right now, he's not trying to be tied up, and he's trying to... That's all forms of rejection, and it's all forms of letting you know he doesn't want you. And because he's playing this game to get what he wants without shaking the table too much, he's not going to tell you he doesn't want to have this type of relationship. He'll just lead you on. Well, right now, I don't really want to have a relationship, but, you know, I'm working on myself, and perhaps in the future we can have a relationship, and perhaps, you know, when I get it together, and, you know, what is a relationship? I mean, we got relationship with everybody. I got relationship with my brother. I got relationship with my bestie. Like, we don't really have to name it. We don't have to name it. We don't have to label it. Now, we kicking, we cool, whatever. He'll say whatever. And it's up to you to realize that he's playing games. And it's up for you to not jump through the hoops of patriarchy to be picked, trying to chase the male gaze. And I've always said, you chasing the male gaze will ultimately be your downfall. It will leave you weaker or permanently damaged. You do not chase the male gaze. Well, the same dude who will be like, I don't like Instagram thoughts, and I don't like stripper hoes, and I don't like women who charge for their sex, will be the same ones who go to the strip club, will be the same one who follows Instagram chicks, porn stars, etc., on social media, will be the same ones who are like, I would, you know, if Cardi B gave me the chance, I would be with her. The same ones who are telling you they don't like these type of women are the same ones chasing after those women. Do not chase the male gaze. Do not chase the male gaze. Because the male gaze today will tell you dark skin is ugly. But then you have these white women who are out here white fishing or black fishing, and they think it's perfectly fine. Do not chase the male gaze. And the thing about it is, everybody has their position in life. Everybody has their tribe. Everybody has their how do I say this? Everybody belongs somewhere. So let's say in black spaces, a black woman who's shaped like my cousin. She's shorter than me, but she's on the tall side. She's like 5'5", maybe 5'6". She's very petite. She has a Rihanna body before Rihanna became thick. Very petite. In black spaces, she may not be thick enough. She's also dark skinned. She's like a Serena Williams color. In black spaces, she may not be cute enough, but she turns heads when it comes to non-black men, and that's her tribe. That's where she is celebrated and she is appreciated. And honestly, that's her preference. And she will be able to flourish in that, because though baby girl eats, for whatever reason, it doesn't stick in her body. It just doesn't show like that. Very petite body, very nice and tight. That's how she's built. And she's appreciated in the circles that she runs in. And she's also into anime. She's also into like creative artwork and stuff like that. So she is on her way of finding her tribe. What would not work in her interest if she was like, well, these guys don't like me, so now I'm gonna stuff my face, and now I'm gonna get back alley butt shots that's going to end up rotting from the inside out, and then I'm gonna have to go to the emergency room or possibly die or lose limbs. What would be devastating is for her to get some white alicious bleaching cream and start looking sickly. That would be detrimental. But what's beneficial for her is for her to be like, you know what? I know my worth, and this is just not working for me. And that's what I want black women to realize, that chasing the male gaze will never work in your benefit. What will always work in your benefit is you working on you for you. You working for your own benefit will always be in your best interest. And if a certain sector don't like you, a certain place don't like you, that's perfectly fine. Just go where you are loved, where you are celebrated. That's it. Explore and expand your options. Because we all have options. Don't let nobody tell you don't got options. Put it this way. If Biggie Smalls did not become a rapper, the women he was piping down, he would not be able to. Money gives people a lot of options. Plastic surgery gives people a lot of options. Ask Kylie Jenner. And I'm not saying for black women to be scamming and get a JT charge from the city girls and end up in prison. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying for black women to end up chopping their bodies like Kylie. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that everybody has their place in this market of desirability, in this market of respectability politics, beauty politics, whatever politics. Everybody has their position and everybody has their mark. You just gotta filter out what's the best for you. That's it. And you need to vet what's best for you. And just like a dude might call you today and be like, oh, I want to take you out, then leave you on red. You could also be like, you know what? I'm not interested. No, thank you. And everybody who comes to your face is not an automatically yes. That's something I had to learn in my early 20s. Just because someone approaches you and wants to take you out doesn't mean that you got to say yes. Period. You don't owe anybody any of your time, any of your attention, any nothing. And even if they do nice things for you, you don't have to reciprocate. Like, you do because you want to do, but you're not obligated to do. So you're not obligated to say yes to that date. You're not obligated to have a conversation. And because summer's right around the corner, you are not obligated to smile because some raggedy, dusty dude said, hey, why don't you smile? You are not obligated to smiling. Period. He has no right to impose himself on you, and you do not have to smile at all. I really had to say that. Do not smile. You don't have to smile. If anything, when that happens to me, I mean mug, because you don't even know me, sir. Why are you talking to me? And why are you demanding anything out of me? That's when I start mean mugging. But yeah, expand your options, explore your options, be very unapologetic of where you stand in life, where I stand in life, especially on this journey of what it means to be black and woman. I stand for black and women, period. That's it. That doesn't mean that I don't care for other women. That doesn't mean if Latina women were raped, I would be like, not my problem. I ain't no white Latina. That's not me. I wouldn't do that. That doesn't mean if a black man going from work to his home with his wife and kids and he gets the gun down, I'm like, not a black man, not my problem. That's not how I roll. But my politics, my political view is Black women. And that's just that. Doesn't mean I hate other groups of people. Doesn't mean that I wish them ill. Just means that the way I navigate through life is through a Black woman's eyes. So I am for Black women. First and foremost, unapologetically. But that doesn't mean that I don't like other groups of people. And I'm always here for Black women living their best lives, putting themselves first. Whether it's education, whether it's love, marriage, situationships, whatever the case may be, career, I'm always about Black women putting themselves first. None of that stressing, none of that muling, none of that sacrificing, none of that social justice warring. Like, dead all that. That superwoman complex, dead all that. I am not here for Black women doing that. And I saw an interesting tweet on Twitter. I'm not going to hold y'all up too long. But I saw this interesting tweet on Twitter where someone was like, I'm a true millennial. Like, if I don't like a workplace, I'll quit. And I thought about it because, but also on Twitter, I saw someone say, millennials are the first generation ever. All right, back to being live. Like someone on Twitter said, like, millennials are the first generation who's going to be worse off than their parents and going to be poorer than their parents. And then I saw another tweet where a person was like, look, company loyalty goes out the window when companies started cutting pensions out. So I like Twitter. I like Twitter for different things. Like me, I follow someone because they're into artsy stuff. I'll follow someone because they're into math stuff. They're into critical thinking. They're into science. I like knowing things. I'm one of them people who know random facts about random things because I just like knowing things because I'm a nosy individual. That's just how I go. That's how I rock. So getting these different informations and reading these different articles, I'm just kind of like, there is no such thing as company loyalty. I mean, a lot of us millennials are broke and trying to, get somewhere in life. We trying to, whether it's become an overnight sensation, whether it's going viral and getting a big paycheck from a company, whether it's whatever the case may be, because we got to get it how we live it. And with the realm of social media and how we're living in this life, there's more opportunities to get the check in different ways. And sometimes you can get the check without even leaving your home. So I say this to say is that I don't mind millennials not being loyal to companies. I don't mind millennials saying, I'll stay here for maybe like 2 years and then I'm out. I don't mind millennials saying, I'm staying here because I'm going to stack my money and then invest it and do my own business. I don't knock that. I don't think anything wrong with that. I think older generations have an issue with that because they are company loyal. They're the ones who are like, I'm waiting for my retirement. I'm waiting for my pension. I'm waiting for my 401k. And millennials are like, nah, if this is not a healthy environment, I'm leaving. I even read an article where the person who was writing the article said that they have done studies where millennials quit without telling their bosses they quit. They just didn't come back to work the next day, or they went out for a lunch break and never returned, or things of that nature. And I'm not gonna lie, whether it's a workplace or anything else, you can't ghost your employer. Like, come on now. Like, you got to be a little bit more professional in that. And also that follows you. That's a reputation that follows you, especially if you need a reference. Like, I'm not going to advocate for that. But I'm always going to advocate for people putting their best foot forward and going to do things that benefits them. For me in particular, I worked at this particular job and I loved the kids that I worked with. Different ethnicities, different socioeconomics. Staff that was underneath me, staff in my position, staff that was above me. Like, I hated the way they treated them. I hated the way they treated us. And it was just very fake. It was very dismissive. It's piling a gang of work on our shoulders, but didn't give us the time for us to do the work. Then got upset because we're like, if we're going to stay here extra and do the work, y'all going to have to pay us. And then we're just kind of like, oh, well, within our budget. It was just like a whole lot of fugazi stuff, a lot of kissing ass. It was just not the type of environment that I cared to work in. So within 6 months, I was like, well, I don't know if I can stay here. But I duked it out for more time. And then when I was asked to come back, because we either can work the summers or not, I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back after the summer. Like, it just is what it is. I wish y'all the best and all that jazz, but it's just like, can I see myself going through that much stress? And I was going through a lot of stress. I was dealing with a child who had a lot of emotional and mental issues. Child tried to stab a staff. I had parents basically trying to drag each other and fight. I had upper management asking me to rewrite incident reports that I didn't feel comfortable because one parent was like, I will sue. And I'm like, don't put me on the stand because I'm going to tell the honest truth. And y'all might not like me. It was just like a whole lot of stuff I personally was just not here for. A lot of politics, office politics that I was not here for. And a lot of low-key judgment. And because I'm black and I'm woman and I'm one of three, but I was the first one there who was, a black woman. And then on top of that, different personalities, working with white women, their projection. It was just like, I really don't need that static. And the true millennial that I am, I was like, yeah, deuce, I'm out. I'm out. But like I said, be true to yourself, push yourself first unapologetically. Do what is in your best interest, period. And don't be out here trying to build no man. Because a man's going to stand on his own 2 feet or lay flat on his back. It is not your job to build this man. It is not your job to write it out for this man. He needs to stand on his own 2 feet. And he's not going to be able to respect himself or you if he doesn't get it on his own. Because he's always going to think in the back of his mind that he wasn't able to do it if it wasn't for your or wasn't for your help. And then on top of that, he might leave you for the woman that he truly wanted that he couldn't get in the first place. Be the prize. Don't be the Build-A-Bear. Don't be that chick. Now, he wants you when he's broke, but when he got it together, he's not choosing you. Don't be that chick. If he wants you, he will come correct. And he will compete, because this is patriarchy, with other men who are equally successful and let the best man win. Period. Let the best man win. Period. And you get to select the best man. Because oftentimes these men will come here like pet projects, broken and whatnot, but they would not do the same for women. Men are too entitled, too me first, to even think about slugging it out and building a woman up and going through her emotional baggage. And no, they're not. They're absolutely, they will detest that. They will fight against that. They will leave you. They will ghost you. They will reject you. Because they don't feel like that's in their nature. It's women who are programmed to do that. It's women who are programmed to put up with it, to hold him down, to ride or die. And it does not work in your benefit. Do not play that role. He's going to be a man or he's going to be a bum. But it's going to be on his time and his decision. It has nothing to do with you. Period. In the meantime, you work on yourself, whether it's your health, your mental health, exploring your extracurricular activities, getting into some extracurricular activities, whether it's dancing, whether it's clubs, whether it's whatever piques your interest. Just enhance your qualities. But if you think that building him up is the move, you'll be greatly disappointed when he cheats on you or he leaves you for the chick who would not spend one day with him if he was broke. Know your value, know your worth. So I think I have held y'all on. I want to, do this little sneak promo. Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, the 9th episode of BlackWomenVibes will be available even on this YouTube channel, and it is titled StruggleLove. So I talked about StruggleLove a little bit in this random live stream, but the full explanation of StruggleLove and how it's not beneficial for Black women and where it leaves Black women will be available in that podcast episode Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and it's titled StruggleLove on the BlackWomenVibes YouTube channel, but you can also find it on Libsyn, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to podcast episodes. So thank you for joining me on this random live stream. I was late, but I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And make sure that you are here Friday, because Friday I will be doing also a live stream for 2 hours from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. And I'll have the ability to set up that y'all can call in. Y'all could talk about what you want to talk about. You can even vent if you want to vent. I'll have a segment called Tell Them Why You Mad. And we can vibe, we can learn from each other. It'll be our own little segment in our own little corner of YouTube where Black women come together and just enjoy each other's company. And that will be Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, so 4 p.m. Eastern. So definitely stay tuned for that and be available for that. So with all that being said, and again, I forgot to introduce myself, so let me do that. I am your hostess with the mostest. So let's get to toasting. VCNA. Isn't it time for Black women to live and live well? Be the best version of yourself by mastering yourself. And with all that being said, be blessed, be enlightened, be loved. I am out. Peace.